Alright, hi, hello, good morning. Welcome to today's video. Today is Monday, December 16th, 2024. It is around 10 after 6 in the morning. I just got off of work and I'm off today and tomorrow. The reason I got tomorrow off is because, well, there's a big political thing that I want to see. Actually, there's kind of more of two, but they both start right around the same time. But to me, one of them is much more important. Because, well, tomorrow is the day that all 538 electors that we the people voted for officially cast each state's ballot for president. However many number a state has in representation in both houses of Congress is the number of electors and electoral votes each state is allowed to have. So, for example, let's take my home state of right here in Ohio. Ohio has two senators because, well, every state, no matter how big or small, has two senators because it's the principle of one state, one vote, according to the Founding Fathers. And of the House, the founders wanted it based on proportional representation, meaning based on a state's population, which was a compromise. Allegedly created by Ben Franklin, but I'm getting sidetracked here. So Ohio has two senators, but we also have 15 representatives in the House because we have 15 districts. So that means that Ohio can have a total number of 17 electors. But since Trump is the projected winner, I should probably go over something here real quick before I get into that. So for every election, there's always a pre-approved group of electors from both parties in each state. So realistically, there's always, so in the case for Ohio, at least up until 2032, there's always a group of 17 Republican electors and a pre-approved group of 17 Democrat electors, depending on what candidate from either of the two parties wins a majority. It's the way how you know what party of the pre-approved groups are going to be doing the real voting. Well, it's based on a simple majority vote by the people. As long as you win 50%, as long as you win half of the state plus one, that party will be the winner for that state in terms of the presidential election, based on the popular vote. So, since Trump won the state of Ohio by the popular vote, the pre-approved Republican group will be doing the voting tomorrow. Now, the electors all have to meet in their respective state capitals and officially cast their ballots. Now, you might also hear the term faithless elector being thrown around too. Well, from what I can tell you, that approximately 13 states are allowed to have faithless electors if they so choose. Meaning the other, 37 states are not allowed to have faithless electors. So to put this into perspective, a supermajority, which is two-thirds of all 50 states is, what is it again? Oh yeah, that's right, 36. So it's a little over so a supermajority of all the states have laws that ban faithless electors. Now, of the bunch, some of them are not counted, and some of them are counted. But whether or not if they're counted or not, you may or may not eventually have some sort of penalty. For example, here in Ohio, it's illegal to be a faithless elector. But if you decide to be one, you might be punished in some way for them, but your vote is still counted. And the funny thing is that Ohio has only had one faithless elector in only one election. I did the research. It was the election of 1892. I don't remember how many electoral votes Ohio had, but all of them but one went to, I believe it was the winning candidate. I think it was the Republican candidate at the time, which I think was, who was it? I think it was Benjamin Harrison. But one elector voted for the Democrat candidate, which I'm pretty sure was Grover Cleveland. Even though Cleveland would be the one to win that election. But yeah, that's the only time Ohio has had a faithless elector. And that's going to be the only time that Ohio has a faithless elector. Now, the electors are party officials throughout the home state. They're local officials and party officials also that cast the real ballot for the president, which is why some people don't like the Electoral College, because people would rather have the person that has the popular vote of the people to become the president, like almost every other country. We're the only one that chooses our leader not by a majority vote of the people, a popular vote. We're the only country that doesn't do that. Why? I don't know. I guess the framers of the Constitution was trying to figure that out and be like, you know what? Let's have the president not be elected by the people, but the majority of the people will be able to vote for electors that will eventually vote for the president. So that way they don't know who will actually cast the actual votes for president. So yeah, anyways, once each respective state and DC, because DC has 3 electoral votes, and they're guaranteed to have electoral votes according to the 23rd Amendment, I think. No, it was the 24th. I don't know, it's either the 23rd or 24th that DC was granted electoral votes for president. But anyways, so each state officially casts their respective electoral votes, and they're sealed off into, I'm assuming, some kind of box, and they get shipped out over to Washington, to Capitol Hill. And then they won't be opened until an early day in January. And in a joint session of Congress, the House and the Senate will certify each state's electoral votes, with the vice president being the presiding officer. And it's going to be awkward because, the current vice president, Kamala Harris, obviously was running for president against, former President Trump. He won, she lost. And so it'll be the first time since 2000 that a vice president that ran for president lost to preside over their own loss of the Electoral College. The last vice president to do something like that was, ironically, was Al Gore, Bill Clinton's vice president. Back in 2000 in that election, but they weren't certified until early January of 2001. Let's see here. The first vice president to preside over their own loss, according to my own research, was Richard Nixon in the 1960 election against JFK. Nixon was the vice president of Dwight D. Eisenhower. He lost that election, so he had to preside over his loss. I'm pretty sure there was someone else. And then there was Oh, let me see here. Then there was Al Gore. And soon it'll be Kamala. Now we've had... The last time that a vice president presided over their victory was George H.W. Bush in the election of 1988. And, you know, the certification didn't happen until early January of 1989. So, yeah, the first vice president to preside over their victory was all the way back to John Adams in the election of 1796, when he was inaugurated in 1797. Since, you know, he was the first vice president. And ironically, even though John Adams had a very, very great political career, all the way from the Continental Congress, all the way to the first vice president, but ironically, his one-term presidency was probably the worst of his great establishing political career, which is in a way kind of ironic, but you know, bro, why are you speeding? Like, for real, there's no need for you to be speeding, boy. Or girl, or he, she, it. I don't even know. Alright, let's see here. So, yeah. And again, it's the same thing here, is that if Congress certifies that one of the two candidates has at least 270 electoral votes, then that person will be officially inaugurated January 20th of the following year from an election. In this case, the state certified the electoral votes tomorrow, December 17th. But one of the first things that the new Congress will do, other than, you know, being sworn in, January 3rd, is 3 days later, on January 6th. Yeah, I know, right? Let's just hope no kind of insurrection will happen. Which I'm pretty sure something will happen on that day. But we'll see. Congress in a joint session will certify the electoral votes. It'll definitely take a couple hours for them to do that. So if all the crows right there, it's kind of scary in a way. Look at all those little black bastards. Oh, let's see here. And then, once Congress certifies all the electoral votes, about 14 days later, like literally 2 weeks later, the president-elect and the vice president-elect will be sworn in as president and vice president. But the vice president-elect will be sworn in first. Why? I actually don't know. But in this case, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance of Ohio will be sworn in. And then at around noon, President-elect Donald Trump will be sworn in for a second term, a second non-consecutive term, I should say. Now, there is something that should also be mentioned. If the president-elect dies before taking office, according to the Constitution, the vice president-elect will become president. In which, in a hypothetical case, if that were to happen, hey, you douche, you didn't have a turn signal. But anyways, if the president-elect dies before taking office, the vice president-elect will become president. So in this case, if Trump were to die anytime between now and January 20th, so within the next month, if he were to die for any reason, then J.D. Vance will be sworn in as president, which means that he would have to pick a vice president that would have to be nominated and confirmed by both houses of Congress. Which, in terms of that, luckily that hasn't happened yet. In terms of the president-elect dying and the vice president-elect being the actual president. That hasn't happened yet, but I'm sure it'll happen one time soon. Maybe it'll happen in my lifetime, but who knows? But the last time that the House had to confirm a vice presidential pick was when Nixon's vice president, Spiro Agnew, resigned, and that's when he picked Gerald Ford to be vice president. And after Ford was confirmed to be vice president, Nixon was like, all right, I'm going to resign effectively at noon tomorrow, which means that Vice President Ford will be the new president. So the following day, Nixon resigns. Ford is then sworn in as president. And speaking of Ford, he is so far the only person to be president and vice president, although he wasn't elected by the people for either office. But, you know. Oh, let's see here. What else is there? But yeah, if Trump were to die and JD Vance would end up becoming the new president, since he is JD Vance is under 45, the last time that a president got sworn in under 45, I think it was Obama, because he was sworn in at, I want to say he was sworn in at like 43, because now he's in like his 60s, but he was in his like mid 50s when he was out of office in 2017. So yeah, I want to say it's Obama. But one thing's for sure, that JD Vance is technically, he's the first millennial to hold high governmental office outside of Congress, I should say. Well, actually, no. He might. He's either Gen X or Gen Y, which is a millennial. I'm pretty sure he's a millennial. Because millennials. The millennials generation is like late 80s to like mid-late 90s. Because my generation, I'm a Gen Z. And Gen Z officially begins in 1997 and goes all the way till like 2012 or something like that. And then starting in 2012 all the way to, I think, either next year or 2026 is our current generation, Gen Alpha. Which makes me think that the next gen would be Gen Beta. Or something. I don't know. All I know is that I'm Gen Z and I'm one of the oldest people of Gen Z, but whether or not that's a good thing is, I don't know. That's up to your own interpretation. I can't tell what those flashing lights are. Is that an ambulance? I don't know. Might be. But yeah. And the thing is that if you're ever going to be vice president, any members of the president's cabinet, the Speaker of the House, or the President pro tempore, as long as you fit in the requirements to become president, you're fine. Meaning, as long as you're a U.S. citizen, or at least if you're born abroad, have at least one U.S. citizen parent. If you're born abroad, be at least 35 and live in the U.S. for at least 14 years. So, in the case of me, I was born here, so I'm a U.S. citizen, so we're good there. As a permanent resident, nationality, I lived here in America my entire life. So, yeah, we're good there. But I am not 35. In 10 years I will. Which means that if I want to run for president, I can't officially run for president until 2036. That is technically the election year that I could technically run in. Can I run for the Senate right now? No, because I'm not 30. I do fit all the other requirements. Live in the U.S. for at least 9 years, and live in the state that I want to represent. So am I able to run for the House of Representatives? Yes, I can. Because for the House, you have to be at least 25, which I am 25, so we're good. You have to live in the U.S. for at least 7 years. I've lived here my entire life, all 25 years of my life, so we're good there. And you have to live in the state that you're going to represent. You don't have to live in the same district, but it's recommended that you probably should run for the district that you live in, but you don't have to. But as long as you live in the state that you are going to represent, then you're fine, according to the Constitution. So I could technically run for the House of Representatives. I technically could have run for Congress this year. But, then again, I have no political experience. Alright, so we're just now approaching McDonald's. I'm gonna get me some breakfast. And I'm gonna assume that it's probably I'd say around 6:45. But, yeah. I think that we're gonna call it quits here for now. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video of whatever comes out. Bye.